Good day, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my first test live stream. I guarantee you one thing for sure is don't expect too much today because the show will not be any better than this. I can assure you that. Turn on some videos there because anybody in the broadcast industry should know you don't have music or your own recording in the background. You get that nasty little feedback. So, hi, everybody out there. If there is anybody at this time, don't worry. If you missed this broadcast, no, you can catch it on the backside. I will not be offended at all. I thought this would be a good chance for me to test what live stream is like, how to do this, get my feet wet, as you know. My friends also know out there that I put invites out there. If people want to come on in and join me, give me a chance to invite my friends in and have a little talk. I always love talking with people out there. I found even when I was in radio and such, I was horrible by myself. I always liked working along with somebody, not just me by myself. I tend to ramble. Anybody who knows me knows that as well. For those of you who do not know, I am Baron Orman Tagge. I'm just a humble little YouTuber getting my start here, uh, trying to get my feet wet, talk about things from a different perspective than most people do when it comes around the fandom, the pop culture, and such. First of all, I want to let people know that I am not a pop culture expert in any sense of the imagination. I will not even profess myself to be that. I'm just this guy who went through a lot of fan, the fan world back in the days, back in the 80s, when Doctor Who, Star Trek, and the like were actually far more popular and gathering far more crowds than Star Wars. In fact, Star Wars in those days was basically, I hate to say this, a dead entity until about 1991, when you had the Tennessee on trilogy that came out, The Heir to the Empire. But it was getting a little resurgence before that. Now, of course, I love having my pipe along, makes me look intellectual, fools everybody out there as much as possible. If I've got you fooled, I'm doing a good job. A little talk about me. With the show I had is I actually have it misplaced, misnamed. I have it Eagle Trips in Kill Switch. And the Kill Switch actually should have been called Dead Man Switch because even though this is a sample live stream I'm doing, I did want to talk a couple topics as such. And the first topic, my favorite topic, me. That's the Eagle Trip. Give people an idea out there. I promised, of course, first of all, I'm honored to have recently been added to the Primetime Kings. That's 24/7 Fusion Media. Vigilante Williamson and Fat Steven Seagal. They do that. They're the three kings people know of. I guess I'm the fourth. You might call me the Curly Joe, whatever, of that little group there. An incredible honor. An incredible honor to join them, be part of them. Each one of those individuals are very intelligent, very smart. And what's fun is we all come from different backgrounds, which makes it a very enjoyable talk. We never grow tired of each other. We all have a lot of respect for each other. So if those guys are out there are watching it, hey, I love you guys. And again, thank you for having me part of your team. It's just amazing. As it goes, uh, why am I doing this? And I was actually kind of one of those people that was making fun of my daughters. They were constantly watching YouTube and the like, and I would make fun of them. They're watching this or that or PewDiePie stuff like that, and I was always quick to give a little, little barb in there. Little did I know that so many years later, here I am in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, in front of you people on YouTube. Surprising the dickens out of all of them, most of all me. I was being told by a lot of people, you should do a channel. And it's like, why? Well, you know so much. It's like, come on, enough of that. Um, but eventually it kind of wore down, and I have to give credit where credit is due. I started watching more and more YouTube as it goes along, and finding more and more people like-minded in me, people that enjoy the science fiction, the fantasy, the comic books, TV shows, movies, all the like that we had before they became woke, becoming these messages and propaganda tools. And let's face it, poorly written, poorly acted, poorly everything across the board. I don't mean to be cruel, but it is the case. And I was really feeling that science fiction fantasy and all that was coming to an end. Put a lot of blame on the Big Bang Theory. Now, you won't find me necessarily a big fan of the Big Bang Theory anymore, off the fact that they made being a square, being a nerd, being a geek, whatever you want to say, hip and cool, and started bringing this. Oh, now I'm going to be one of these, and these people don't know a damn thing about what they're talking about, and more importantly, they're wanting to shape it and form it into what they have, what they want, and of course, completely ignoring the people of us who've been around all this time. If you want to call it gatekeeping, fine. Call it gatekeeping. Everybody gatekeeps. It's not. I don't find it insult, even though it's used as insulting. But we all want to protect what we have, and yeah, we want to expand, grow, uh, do new things with what we have. But remember what it is that we are: Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, Babylon 5, and whatnot. Watching Doomcock was the one that actually started getting the fire under me. A very amazing and talented person. I don't care what you want to say about him, pros, cons, whatever. When it comes right down to it, Doomcock, the man of mystery, the future ruler of the earth, is very knowledgeable. He's very entertaining. He puts on one hell of a show every Friday, the Friday Night Frolics. The hours that he puts in on that show and keeps running it, and how he keeps it fresh and alive. It's amazing that he can do that 6-7 hours on a Friday night and not be worn down. The man is a true consummate entertainer. And yeah, sure, he gets some of his words wrong, as we all do. That's the nature of that game. So I come here neither to praise nor damn Caesar on that aspect. When it comes around to being a presence, he is amazing. He started getting fire out of me. I started watching. And watching, you have, of course, the chat. And alongside here, if you have the computer, I always point to the chat on the side because that's where it is for me. But you have the chat out there, people join in. A lot of people, they're just lurking, which is fine. People can lurk and enjoy the show. They don't have to participate. There is not a need for that. If they feel comfortable doing so, yeah, please do. But you start chatting with people, and you start meeting people that way. And through that, I met two amazing individuals. I don't know how I did this, and I will not put the list of these people in any order than order of appearance, because I don't want people to think that I'm favoriting one or the other. It's not that case. All these people are damn important to me for what I'm doing. Obviously, Doomcock is number one because he was the first. And in the chat, meeting up with two individuals. The first one was the world famous, the hero that we need but do not deserve, Mexican Iron Man. I have no idea what I did. I really don't know what I did. But for some reason, Mexican Iron Man took to me. And we are great friends. We chat now and then, send emails, all that stuff, as friends would do. And I would never have dreamed that. And I know I made some smart comment that got his attention. Maybe I wasn't afraid to make that smart comment. And in fact, it wasn't mean spirited. But he became a cheerleader for me that I didn't know. And really appreciate the man. He is, no one can ever say anything wrong about him around me. I always defend him because this man has done so many things for so many people out there out of the generosity of his heart, And I am honored to be counted as one of his friends. And the only thing I ask is put up with me. Just put up with me. I'm a pain in the ass. Please put up with me. So Mexican Iron Man was that next incredible person. When we started doing the Archvillain live chats, the first one I went on there, leading up to it in basically what you call I call the green room. But when you're in the live stream, they have the little chat that people can have back and forth in there. And the one person there that was really giving me a lot of pep talk and hints and help and coaching and guiding on what to do was the artist formerly known as Gogol 13, Brandon the anime guy. And that really meant a lot. It's like, wow, we are this family. We are this we're out of our way. We're helping each other. We're being kind. We're a family. We're a family. And then I think it was like a month or so later, when he was doing his channel that unfortunately is no longer around, and YouTube, I'm still mad at you for that. He invited me on his Anime 101 program where we talked about Vampire Hunter D, Akira. I believe we talked about also in that one a few other of the movies that were on. Oh, Gogol 13, of course, his namesake. I actually wanted to talk about that because it was outside of the norm of science fiction fantasy in anime as a kind of a spy thriller. And if you haven't seen it, go find it out there. It's on Tubi. You have to read subtitles, but it's still a good film to watch. And he later told me that he invited me on because of Mexican Iron Man. Mexican Iron Man himself sat back and said, hey, have this Baron Tagge on there. He seems to be a good chap. And so I was honored that he did that for me, that Mexican Iron Man did that. And that Gogol 13, Brandon, the anime guy now, was so trusting to put me on. And I behaved somewhat. When I started my channel, and of course I keep my vignettes or whatnot, the videos I have, I try to keep them short because, there's so many videos out there. A lot of videos go 10, 20, 30, an hour long, 20 minutes long, hours long. And you only have so many hours in a day. And as a person, and I have to sit back and bring this out here, is I was a big fan and still am of the late author, Harlan Ellison, to such a point that I am ashamed that I did not get this book until this year, almost 35 years after a 35-year retrospect, always meaning to pick the book up. And how can you say that you like Harlan Ellison and not have that in your library? And of course, now I have it, reading it. And as such, Harlan Ellison used to have a column, and then later evolved into on the Sci-Fi Channel, on I believe the Sci-Fi Vortex show. It might not be the Vortex, but it was one of the Sci-Fi Channel shows that they had. And he had like a 2-3 minute little segment where he just pontificated on things. Of course, it was called Harlan Ellison Watching. And I thought, well, I don't want to copy anybody out there, per se, who are already out there, because Doomcock has his thing. Brandon has his thing. Coach and Nick at Echo Base, they have their thing. And I racked myself. I put a little notice, Baron Orman Tagge Fade In is coming soon. And I thought, okay, it kept going and going before I actually put something on there, because I was racking. What am I going to do? How am I going to approach this? And I tried many different things. I went out there and tried scripting things and going on that basis, like a lot of people do. And even though I can work off of a script, it just wasn't working for me, because I wanted to bring true drive, true passion, what I was feeling out there. And sitting back and reading a script, sometimes you just really can't do that. And so I decided, well, we'll just freeform it. It might look ugly. It might look whatever. It might not be all that polished, but at least what you're getting is the raw deal here, the raw image. This is not being filtered. This is not being putting Vaseline on the lens, stuff like that. This is what it is, and started doing it. And I can't remember which one I had. I did a video and it had a rant in it. And I even put the little rant warning on it. I try to avoid doing that, but hey, sometimes can happen. Anybody who knows me. And I got this message, and this message came from 24/7 Fusion Media. And I thought to myself, what the hell is this? Because it looked all 80s, that great neon looking lights and stuff like that. So it was like, okay. And he sent me this lovely note on the Twitter. And you can find me on Twitter, by the way. There's somewhere around there on my channel. It says I twit, and I do twit. Go on and feel free to follow me on there if you wish. And I responded back, and he was, of course, impressed with basically what I was saying, the coming from the heart, coming from the gut, coming from what's inside, not being that what do we say, polished, slick salesman. And talk, and finally it's like to a point that, listen, I can't do this texting, I can't do this typing. It's hard. I'm more of a verbal guy than actually writing. So we started talking, and before we know it, we're doing phone calls for a few hours a night sometimes here, discussing every topic from comic books, movies, Star Trek, Batman, Superman, the Marvel films, this and that, going back even into the past. I mean, talking about television shows from the 60s, the 50s, movies of the 40s. This actor, that actor, which many people might not even know. He's a very, very huge wealth of movies. This guy. If you haven't, hunt down 24/7 Fusion Media. And which, of course, like I said, I'm one of the primetime geeks. I'm not just doing this because I'm part of the show. I mean this. He has such a wealth of information and knowledge on movies and comic books that it just awes me. And I do enjoy listening to what he has to say about stuff. And I learn something. That's what's the important thing, especially when you have a friendship. You learn. You get something from it. And hopefully he gets something from me, as he sits back and says. And I know he's not lying. I like to joke and tease about it, but not to sound egotistical, but I know he does get from me, and that's a great thing. We have a share of information that love that we have out there, and of course, Vigilante Williamson, who's on that show, of course, got meet up with him and be part of that program. Such a wonderful guy to deal with. He's so lively. I made it part of the contract of being part of the Kings that I have to be called a bigot at least once by Vigilante, or I will not do the show. So far, it's been going good. And I'm making sure he does call me a bigot at least once a week on that show. One of the other honor things is I actually had a chance to have a one-on-one with Coach at Echo Base Network. And trying to work on my fake voice there, by the way, Coach, so I can sound more like you, more calm, not so loud and boisterous like a B movie Brian Blessed. But having that talk with him, and one of the gentlest voices out there that we have for the Star Wars community, and pushing out there. And that helped solidify even more the welcoming that he gave me when I came in. We were talking, the joking, the jocularity back and forth. And anyone who likes Star Wars, please be part of Echo Base Network. Please do that. Find Vigilante Williamson, find 24/7 Fusion, Doomcock. All these guys, they're wonderful and they're amazing. And so I'm just talking basically the YouTubers that I've been kind of circling around with, and I'm on that outside. I'm not even part of the inner circle yet. I'm just kind of like, will you let me in, please, please? Hello, hello. Can you let me in? As I stated, though, I had many years until like into the 90s being involved in science fiction, fantasy, science fiction fan clubs. I was not one to pigeonhole myself, where I'm only a Star Trek fan. Who cares about anything else? I'm a Doctor Who fan. It doesn't matter. And you had a lot of that. It's like, it was almost like there was lines drawn that you had to be one or the other. And my attitude was BS. And even though I was the captain of a Star Trek club, a Star Trek starship, and that was known as the USS Zarak, NCC 1798 in the Twin Cities area. It was started by a guy by the name of Timothy J. Dover, the Admiral, sir. And of course, the captaincy has moved on, and I became the captain. And the club formally, this is part of the Starfleet International. Uh, on a national level, I was kind of the regional coordinator, which had several states and several ships underneath it. Started into the Corps of Engineers that they had, and about that time, burnout got me, and I kind of fell out. But yeah, I was involved. But we made the most important thing about that is we're not going to shy away from other science fiction fantasy. We love all this stuff too much. We had people in there that enjoyed the books by Robert Asprin, the myth sagas that he had going on there. Uh, you had the people that loved Doctor Who. I mean, out of our mouths would be either Doctor Who, Star Trek, whatever. It didn't really matter. We loved it all. Books, magazines, whatnot. And the other day I showed it on the Kings, and I'm going to do that here to embarrass the hell out of me. But that right there, folks, that right there is a 20-year-old me back in 1989, dressed up in my Starfleet uniform in a paper. It seems like any time that was a Star Trek film that came out, we had cameras shoved in our face. In fact, I believe I was looking on the Twitter on this date here, November 30th, 2021. 35 years ago, the Star Trek 4 was the #1 film in the theaters, which, of course, as a Star Trek club, guess what they did? Hey, you Star Trek people, come on out and be our eye candy on opening day and help promote the movies. So we would be out there doing that for that. Cameras be in our face, people asking questions, making us look like a bunch of dorks, which is one of the reasons why I don't trust the press. We did that, of course, for Star Trek 5, Star Trek 6, Star Trek 5, Star Trek 5, and Star Trek 6. And about that time is when I dropped out. So I have that base of not only being with fandom, but fandom that loved all sorts of different science fiction. Introduced to when we had one of our big multi-club parties, 2 Star Trek clubs, 3 Doctor Who clubs all together. And I'm walking along there, and someone walks over to me, go, "Yeah, hey, come on over to the into the video room there. We're going to be showing Red Dwarf." And I'm going, "What the f is a Red Dwarf?" The first experience to that great British comedy science fiction series out there. Excuse me while I take a drink. That's some good apple juice. And so that is where I come from. And what I want to bring in here, I want to remind people, while a lot of people are focused, and rightly so, on the now, the here and now, I like to talk about what got us there and why people like Doomcock and such are so important. This is a reason why. This is why we fight. This is why we love. This is what's important. As I drifted out of science fiction and fantasy, I started going to more historical reenactment, particularly Viking Age reenactment, which again was a blessing in it by itself. Got me around the world, literally doing talks and lectures on Viking history. And when I was involved in it, I always seemed to gravitate more into the stories, the sagas, the lore, the mythology, the gods, the goddesses, the stories behind them, which we start peeling these stories down. You don't need to be a student of Joseph Campbell to understand what heroic storytelling is about. And this is what we're dealing with, is heroic storytelling. Any one of our shows is about heroic storytelling, talking about the heroes and the progression and the history, and it made me more and more critical to the eye. So while I wouldn't call myself a pop culture dude, I would go more the fact that I am that story-wise person, the person that appreciates how a story is laid out, how a story is delivered, how a story is handed to us. And that's what I like to try to think about as I bring this to the table. So about 25 minutes here, I've been talking about this guy here. I hope I haven't worn you too much. There are stories that I promised I would not tell yet because I'm actually going to tell some of these stories on the Primetime Kings about my entertainment world exposure. I had been involved in radio and television, more of radio than television. In fact, I was politely declined a job this year from a local radio station when I applied. They loved my spirit, but I'd just been outside of the that realm for a little too long. But I think I'm going to still try knocking on their door. It just that's in my blood. In fact, the reason why I wanted to do this tonight is, to be honest, I've been rather down and not feeling. What would you say? I just haven't been in good mood. I haven't been in good spirits. But I found like when I was on the Primetime Kings or other times when I have this microphone in front of me and, even the camera on is, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm happy. This is what I love. This is what I enjoy doing. And I missed it so much. I've been away from all those things that really fired the synopsises up here and fired the old heart up to to not that it was getting me down. And every time I was in front of the camera and the microphone, I was happy. And yeah, maybe it's an ego thing, but it's also something that you love. And when it's in your blood, when it's in your spirit, when you enjoying uh, what it is, even if it's something that's this type of venture, you just want to keep doing it, and it makes as long as it keeps that going, that fire alive. Now, on this one, I had Eagle Trips, which we are just finishing up on here, and then I had Kill Switch. So I don't think I'm going to have too long of a show here, uh, because again, it's kind of unscripted. It was kind of a last minute idea that I had, um, and so firing up, firing off my mouth. And the last part, the kill switch, is actually a miss. I realized after the fact that I named it wrong. It should be dead man switch. And what am I referring to? And if you saw the little graphic, the little logo I had before the show here, it had Kathleen Kennedy as Bib Fortuna in Return of the Jedi. Like a picture I kind of find funny. And to say that I am not a fan of Kathleen Kennedy, or KK, is a, shall we say, understatement of the century. I do feel that the way she has treated fans, she's been very insulting fans. And all you out there that think that she's the bee's knees and that she's wonderful, her disdain for us old fans, she has just as much for you guys as well. If you are fooled by her, well, that's your own problem. Uh, when it bites you in the butt, don't come crying to me. A lot of us have been warning you about that. Her disdain, though, for the fans completely is disgusting. The people that helped build the Star Wars empire, especially under George Lucas. And her treatment and how she's done the Star Wars, trying to just destroy the foundation that George Lucas built up, destroying it so she can build her own legacy. It's like, let's tear down the images of any of the presidents on the Mount Rushmore and putting your face on there instead. It's tantamount to that. It's like when Stalin, after a while, was airbrushing out Lenin, and she's trying to do the same thing with George Lucas. Let's airbrush out George. Who cares? I'm the queen bee. Ego, hubris. You might say that Eagle Trip is even good for her. So, what does Dead Man Switch have to do with it? Now, listening about number stations actually reminded me of that one. And if you don't know what a number station is, it's during the height of the Cold War. And even now, today, there are shortwave stations out there that send out their frequency, their frequency that they have the frequency, and then eventually there'll be like a beep you'll hear, and then like a song, and then somebody reading off numbers. It could be a digitized in these days, or it'd be a woman or a man And it could be an English or another language, but start reading off numbers and then repeating it and then coming to an end. And sometimes with the music or whatnot. And this was a common tool that was used during the Cold War for spying. And even so today, I mean, why don't they use computers? Well, simple, you can track a computer. You know where the signal is coming from a radio station, but you're not necessarily knowing who's picking up that signal unless they respond back. And most spies didn't necessarily have that equipment. They had their own little radios. When it came to that certain time, they'd turn it on, take the notes down, then turn it off and put it away. And because it was receiver only. There's one station in Russia that sends out its transponder signal constantly, and doesn't really even have anything other than that. No one knows what it's about. It's fenced in. Hardly ever see anybody coming in, and don't you dare try to get anywhere near it. But it's constantly sending out that signal, and people postulated that this was a dead man switch, and it goes back and forth whether they think it really is that or not. And they're speculating that if that signal ever ended, it'd be to whatever system they have set up saying that nuclear war has begun, and now it's fire off their dead man switch to fire off its missiles in retaliation. A scary prospect. Let's just hope they keep that station running perfectly clear. And this was during the Soviet Union days, and it's still going today under Putin's Russia, or should we say, working its way to Soviet Union 2.0. I don't know. It depends on your viewpoint on that. So dead man switches have been used by a lot of people. People have used them for, if you saw the Red Dawn, the original movie, not the bastardized remake, where the young lady, she died in there, I believe it's Jennifer Grey, the actress, and she had it set up that if they moved the body after she died, it would release a grenade, primed and ready to go, and would go off. A dead man switch. Everybody talking about KK getting her contract renewal and the back and forth that's going on there. I don't know if I ever heard anybody bring this part up. If somebody has, fine, great. I'm glad, and my apologies that I didn't hear that. But my question, and I like to try to take approaches, and so does 24/7 Vigilante. We like to take a look at different approaches of what is going on in this. And my question is what does KK have for a dead man switch? By all rights, what she has done at Lucasfilm, despite what they want to say in front of everybody, has been abysmal. It shows the toy sales have been incredibly down. The interest in anything that is post the original trilogy and prequel trilogy is down. The only thing that is keeping things alive is the Mandalorian at this point. Besides that, um, what they have is an industry that should be making twice as much as it is now. This should be a cash cow like you cannot believe. But it's not earning its potential because she's been driving away fans while they think that they're doing the right thing and bringing in new ones. What is the kill switch? What's the dead man switch that she has? And that's the question I have. Especially in these days where Hollywood is really, really, really in a higgly piggly, especially with Harvey Weinstein, the situation he's in. You have the Me Too movement that's going on there. And I'm going to say that nasty little word, pedophilia, and the circles that they have going in there. A few years back, there were arrests going on the West Coast that you didn't hear about on the news for whatever reason, but they were happening. What dirty secrets does she know and is willing to drop if they get rid of her? And that is what I'm suspecting it is. She might not even care if she's in full control of Disney. She's got the prestige and she's getting the money. Not that she needs any more money, mind you. But she also has something else. She has power. What is it? What are people hiding that they're afraid of that they brought her back for a 3-year contract extension? where anybody else in Hollywood for her performance would actually be fired, let go. People want to say, "Oh, look at all the this and that." Well, it's not retaining. Solo was a horrible, horrible loss for them. Even these last films, it was showing that there might be some number games being played here to make it look like it was actually better than it was. Vigilante Williamson, gonna have that, but he had a little thing about the Hollywood Ponzi scheme, and yeah, it is out there. Uh, Even before I started this up, I experienced and was involved unwittingly in the same sort of stuff that was involving a major studio in its subsidiary company. And after the fact, when I found out that I was an unwilling dupe, along with many of us other ones that were in the company, we were quite mad about it. And I'm not going to say anything for legality reasons and such. I'll talk with people private, but I won't talk about here for that matter. But it is out there. There is a game, and numbers don't necessarily mean what they say. So that is my question about that. So I'm bringing more of a question than answers on the dead man switch. What does she know? And who is sweating bricks over there that they don't want to open that can of worms, that Pandora box, you might say? Well, I've been talking here for about 36 minutes now. There's 4 people on there. So, hi, everybody who is out there. I'm glad you're watching. I hope I'm not scaring you away too much. Uh, and doing this, I'm just absolutely amazed how all these other guys, especially when they're by themselves, can do this talking because I'm starting to get a little winded. But you have to forgive me. I did have a full day's of work before coming out here and actually been talking all day at work. In fact, my mom here. Cheers to you all. That's some good apple juice. What do I hope to do for future streams? Well, that's simple. Besides inviting my friends on, maybe do a Baron After Dark, something that starts up about this, at 9 o'clock or so, and bring in friends that I both know on YouTube and in the real world. I do know some authors and such, and actually been in some contact with one uh, that I'd like to have come on and talk with, and a very good friend of mine. Unfortunately, I haven't seen him in a long time, but we've been I did some chats and say, I'd like to talk to you about this, bring you into a new group of people to experience. I won't say names now because again, this is a talking zone. So bring the friends in. Somebody that people that can actually bounce stuff off of, have talks. When I start going into interview mode, you'll start finding me more of a Johnny Carson type of person that likes to listen to what people say. Not like this new batch of egomaniacs that we have, so-called talk show hosts out there. Gone are the days of Tom Schneider, Johnny Carson, um, Mike Douglas. I suppose people, if you want to say Regis Philbin, all these that could talk, but could also do another thing called listen and realize that you have guests and you're making them look good. And by making them look good, you look good. So that's kind of the hope that I have for the live stream. Not to keep the live streams going long, uh, like maybe an hour or so as we go along, talk a little bit topics, anything that people would want to have. And I did have invites out to people if they wanted to come in and say hi and even join in. Well, I know there's a lot of stuff going on. I know Tom Connor's meet is going on out there, so people were that way. And I knew I was, this was a last minute thing. So I knew that the response would be kind of low because it was, we might say, guerrilla live streaming out there. Hey, Zach, how you doing out there, buddy? I'm glad that you came along and say hi, hail to you. Of course, there's Eric and Sandy Anderson. Hi to you guys. Pacific was, by the way, 414 was on earlier. I don't know if he's here. I just want to have that out there. So I hope your night's going great there, Zach's and everybody else. I'm honored that you decided to join along and watch along here. I don't think I'm going to be talking too much on here. one thing I want to sit back and say that I've been having a lot of fun with is I do belong to one streaming service that's BritBox because I do like the classic British television shows and such. Hey, good to hear that you're good. I'm glad to hear that. And one of the shows that they finally started airing on there is Blake Seven, at least on the American side. I know they had it on the British side for a long time. I've never watched the show. It's kind of odd. I had the program guide for many, many years, but never had I ever watched the show. Anybody who's out there, if people have BritBox, if you don't have BritBox, no, subscribe. It's not that expensive. It really isn't. Especially if you love Doctor Who, if you like Blake Seven, Red Dwarf is on there, as well as stuff like Are You Being Served? Yes, Minister. Yes, Prime Minister. All those shows. If you love these things, you will not be disappointed by that, Zax. Honestly, there's just so much to choose from. Even the Granada series. So it's not just BBC. It's also Granada TV, Thames TV, various other shows like that. So if you like the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes show, it's on there. And so it's something I do recommend. It's the one thing I have on there. I am enjoying because I've never seen Blake Seven. It's a fun ride. I should have, I should be through the series by now, but I didn't want to necessarily binge the show too much. So I just wanted to bring that little part up there of what my guilty pleasure is right now. Blake Seven. If you haven't, please give that a try. It's a show that helped inspire stuff like Babylon 5 and other things. Obviously, J. Michael Straczynski had many, many other inspirations, but Blake Seven was one of the shows that helped inspire him on that one. As for J. Michael Straczynski, I do want to do one thing here. I am optimistically nervous about the new CW program that's coming out here. That, of course, Babylon 5 reboot. And normally it'd be instant. No, go away. Leave me alone. You never. Oh, oh, is that what episode you're talking about? You talking about Blake Seven or on that one there, Zax? Yeah, it's kind of hard to confuse it because those are two different animals, Blake Seven and Red Dwarf. But um, I've been a dwarfer for since 1988, 89 when the show first came out. So, but with Babylon 5, J. Michael Straczynski is running it. That has that caution. Oh, Blake Seven. Okay, yeah. So, it's a far different show. It's a far different show than Red Dwarf. Well, of course, Red Dwarf is for the last. But Blake Seven, Blake Seven feels like an old classic Doctor Who show that's not Doctor Who, if that helps out any. But considering a lot of the people that were involved with the one show are involved with the other, Terry Nation creator of the Daleks doing that show. In fact, the Daleks were originally going to be one of the villains on Blake Seven, but the BBC put a kibosh on that one, believe it or not. Or somebody took the kibosh and told Terry, "Nah, don't do it." So, but yeah, if you like Saga, hey, brightest day, good to see you, sir. How you doing there? And what's up? Me, I'm up right now. Believe it or not, I'm still awake. 43 minutes into this broadcast, so thank you for joining me. I'm honored to see you. And of course, Zach's brightest day. And where was I talking about? I can't remember. We were talking about Blake Seven, Babylon 5, and such. It's been a long day, and it shows. But it's a saga series. It's almost, even though it's not quite like Babylon 5, that was with a book, beginning, middle, and end. It was a little connected. All the other. Hey, Matt. Sorry that you're not streaming. So your games tonight. I need to catch you again when you're playing on there. Good to see you. Good to see you on the show. And thank you so much for coming on my test live stream here. Babylon 5 and caution. Thank you, Zach. You're a good man. The caution is even though you have the creator of Babylon 5 doing the show GMS. We all know that creators of their own works can sometimes ruin their own works. In some ways, Lucas did a little bit of that with the remasters, where I'm going to make the original Star Wars better, and now we have that Han shot first. He's made it known that he is not going to copy and paste the original show. So, what new directions is he thinking about? But to think about a show that doesn't have the original characters, the original actors and actresses involved, who could replace Jakar? Andreas Katsoulis, such an amazing actor that he was, and so sorely missed. Even Jerry Doyle as Michael Garibaldi. Um, gone. Stephen Furst as Veer. All these people, these roles were almost them. It was almost tailored for them. Mira Furlan, or how you pronounce her last name, being gone now, who played Delenn, that gentle way that she played that role. How is he going to have this recasted? Which new direction he's going to go with the show? I probably will tune in to see what that first episode's like, and pray and pray and pray that JMS doesn't ruin his own masterpiece that he had. For me, those 5 seasons are still the best, some of the best science fiction space opera out there. If anybody hasn't done Babylon 5, watch it. You're missing something. And yeah, it's not as splashy as the Star Trek series because of the lower budget. But if that's something that's going to drive you away from a show, then you're missing a lot of things out there. There's a lot more than just the splashiness that's involved. It's story, acting, everything else. We're at 46 minutes into the show here, and some great people that I know out there. Matt is such a wonderful guy. We had a couple chats there on the Doomcock live stream that he had. Wanted to go over and raid his house for his Star Trek. I believe it was your Star Trek collection, Matt. I was going to do a midnight raid and get that you had on with DVD or Blu-ray. And whatnot. And he's a great gamer, people. He is on Twitch. Look for him. He's on Twitter too, so look for Matt. He puts his little stuff on there about him on Twitch playing his games, getting killed left and right. I try not to laugh too hard, Matt, so forgive me if I do. And definitely watch his game playing. He's got great commentary while he's doing that too. So I like to promote all my friends out there, especially the wonderful work that they do. Zach is out there doing his great stuff. He's a wrench on a few channels. If I yeah, sometimes you have to do that. But the special effects, of course, reiterating what Zach said in the chat there about you have to take your glasses off to watch the special effects in Babylon 5. And yeah, they're dated now, but at that time they were amazing. To do everything in computer CGI, it was so groundbreaking in that aspect. Having the non-high definition TV obviously does help out, but you take a look what Babylon 5 did compared to The Last Starfighter, which was the movie before that relied so heavily on CGI for their special effects, which looks now like a 2000s video game by comparison. I admire that special effects. When people try hard, they're breaking new ground, taking that risk. It is amazing, and I will always honor that and not be so hard, even if you're doing with the Keely Chow. Hi, how are you? Great to have you here. I'm talking. Yeah, that is sad news about JJ, and we're not talking about the guy that ruined the Star Wars franchise. Yeah, and thank you for coming. It's great to see you so much. Of course, I got to know you a little bit on the Primetime Kings webcast on Sunday. So I know I'm doing absolutely fine. I am. I'm coming off of work, so I'm a little punch drunk. On my, at my job, I'm constantly talking. I'm on the phone and talk. And I decided to do this guerrilla broadcast tonight for the heck of it. And I was starting to wonder, am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to continue on? Am I going to have enough to talk about? But about 50 minutes in, I'm still yammering, and you guys are still listening. And thank you so much. Oh, just a second here. That's some good apple juice. Kind of take a little bit there from Johnny Carson on that. So that is my idea, though. I mean, my friends out there, especially you in the chat, Matt or whatever, if you ever want to come on and have a chat with me sometime along, Matt, Sachs, Keeley, the brightest day, I'd be more than honored to have you on, and we can just shoot about whatever it is that you want to talk about in the future here. Kind of have a little bit of forum. Expect to be interviewed a little bit. I do like that. Yeah, and I saw that she was on there. I have to. Yeah, exactly. I have to watch that show. Fat Steven did say that on the Kings that she was going to have her on there, and unfortunately, when he did have it on, I was working, so I'm going to have to catch on this flip side here. And that budget was absolutely pathetic, and the fact that they were filming the show in a hot tub factory warehouse instead of an actual studio. And what they pulled off, yeah, the hot tub warehouse, it's just amazing what they're able to pull off. And I have one of the DVDs. It was when CNN came around for like the first the movie. Exactly, great minds. uh, when they did the original movie, and then they had like the first season, CNN was around doing interviews, and they released the raw footage of that on DVD, which I have. And of course, Pat Tallman, Claudia Christian, and the late Jerry Doyle were doing some commentary work on some of it, talking about that experience being interviewed and such, which Jerry Doyle would say, I don't remember a damn thing, type of thing. But you could see what they had, what they were working with, that they were dealing with sets that they had to literally roll around with such little space possible, then filling in with that. They were making magic out of nothing. And I have much more admiration for their special effects and how they were doing things than any of the Star Trek series, because they're the ones that had $1 million budget behind them and this and that to help promote that, get that show going, while Douglas Netter and Szynski and the others were having to almost invent new ways of doing things, and led the way of the CGI craze that we have today. I mean, honestly, even with George Lucas later on with the Star Wars movies and the remasters, think of the fact that J. Michael Szynski in 1994 was trailblazing that with those computerized special effects. And he did a show, Captain Power, if anybody remembers that, back in the late 80s, was a tie-in to the toy company, but their special effects, and very datedly so, were also computer CGI. So it wasn't his first foray in doing CGI special effects. So I want to sit back and say I'd love to be able to talk a little more, but it's starting to get to my later hour here. Get ready to get things taken care of. I want to thank you all. And again, Matt, we'll talk. Yeah, he did Captain Power. That was one of his shows, believe it or not. So that's why there was a little bit more of an adult, I wouldn't say adult, but a mature approach to that show for a kid's show, if you watched it. I mean, they had one of the main characters get off in that show. And there was only one person that could pull that off, and that was JMS at that time. And so that's, even for, like I said, a toy tie-in television show, it was done pretty darn good, and there was some serious effort done to it. So when it comes around to producers, writers, and such, J. Michael Szynski is definitely one of my heroes out there. But coming into the 55-minute, I thank you all so much. Matt, we'll talk. I'd like to have you on. We can talk a little bit. There's so many things I know we can talk about. Seeing what you have on your Twitter, on various other things. And again, Zach's Brightest Day, Keely, anyone of you wish to join in sometime, please let me know. Of course, I'm on the Twitter. I twit. You can find that on my page here. And drop me a line. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. And don't forget, Sundays at 5 o'clock, the Primetime Kings. I'll be there as their newest member. Good night, everybody. I thank you so much. Love you all. And I'm honored that you were here for my test stream. I assure you the next program will be worse. So, again, thank you so much. And you all have a beautiful, lovely evening now. Night now.